you. Who else could it be but your man Lou? Yeah.
And overtime.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to Sunday Night Football Overtime. Chargers, Steelers, Week 13 in the National Football League, Sunday Night Football. This was one hell of a football game, and this was an important game in the AFC. The Steelers have not won the AFC North just yet, in case you missed it. The Baltimore Ravens have won 3 straight games. They're 7-5. They've looked good with Lamar Jackson. He's got limitations, does Jackson, but he also brings a dynamic element with his legs that defenses have to prepare for. They've utilized those properly, and we know the Ravens can play defense. They're right back into the thick of things after 2 straight losses by this Steelers team. This looked like a blowout. And if the Steelers don't win this game or win that division, we could be talking about potentially these 2 teams jockeying for positioning when we're talking about the wild card situation. So this is pretty interesting here. This is a really big – the Steelers won't end up tied with anyone because of the tie that they had earlier in the season. So the whole tiebreaker thing doesn't really make that much of a big deal because, again, these teams won't end up with the same record. You know, if it's a situation where they're jockeying for positioning or trying to get in to the playoffs, because the AFC playoffs, I've talked about this on the podcast. If you haven't checked it out, Louie T Network podcast on iTunes, on Stitcher, on Google Music Play, on the website louietnetwork.net. You need to check that out. But I kind of broke down, and we're going to talk about the playoff picture and the playoff race in both the NFC and AFC conferences moving forward, because things are heating up now after Thanksgiving. And so this is a major game in the AFC, though. And I thought the Steelers were going to win this game. And early on, didn't it look like it was going to be an ass whoop? Looked like it was going to be a one-sided ass whooping in this football game. Steelers are up 23-7 early, late stages of the second quarter, and they were going for more points. Big, and I thought the play of the game, the one that turned this game kind of sideways and allowed the Chargers to hang around, was the big pick by their rookie safety. And when you start to see the momentum shift was when he made that play, Derwin James, with the interception. The Steelers were already in field goal range at the point of that interception. He takes points off the scoreboard. It somewhat keeps them alive in this football game with a pulse. It was faint at the moment. Another touchdown there, game's done. Any points, really, a field goal even there, probably sends this Chargers team to their death in this football game. But instead, the pick salvages what was a 16-point deficit. And from that point on, it was pretty much all Chargers in this football game. You know what this reminded me of? This game reminded me of when the Chargers were playing the Titans over in London. I thought the Chargers dominated that football game in the first half. They weren't up big, though. But they had a big play to start the second half, a deep ball to Mike Williams for a touchdown, similar to how they started the game. Big touchdown pass to start the game to Williams. And they looked like they were going to run away with that football game. They were up 20-7. They were dominating the game. And then the Titans just took over from about the midpoint of the third quarter all the way to the end of the football game. Ended up scoring a touchdown in the waning moments. Had a chance for a 2-point conversion to win. Could have kicked the extra point and sent it to overtime, which I thought would have been the right decision because they were dominating the football game at that moment. But instead, they went for 2. They didn't get it. The Chargers survived 20-19. That's what this game felt like. Like a total role reversal from where the game started. The Steelers were hot. This looked like it was going to be like that Thursday night game with the Panthers in Pittsburgh, where the Panthers just got their doors blown off and really didn't know what the hell happened after the first maybe 5 minutes of the game. But the Chargers showed resiliency, and I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to sit here and act like I've been on the Chargers bandwagon this entire time. I've been disrespecting 2 teams this entire season. I stopped disrespecting the Chargers when they went to Seattle and won. That's when I said this Chargers team is different. The old Chargers would have found a way to lose that game. This year's Chargers have found ways to win games despite the field goal kicking situation. And I already told you what you needed to do. You need to go and get Giorgio Tavecchio. I don't want to hear any shit about Michael Badgley being a football player and he played this in high school, he played that in college. I could give two shits about that. I want a guy that can put the goddamn football through the uprights. Giorgio Tavecchio, I told you, when the Falcons cut him loose, if I'm the Bears, if I'm the Chargers, those are two teams that are looking to try to make the postseason and make noise when they get there. Two teams that can play defense. Two teams that are going to be in ball games, that are going to be close, that may come down to a late field goal. You better make sure your field goal kicking situation is legit. I said Michael Badgley stinks. I told you that when you first signed him. I said, don't think that you found the guy. Go get Giorgio Tavecchio. They didn't listen to me. They're going to pay for this. He missed that 39-yard field goal. And if not for the Steelers being offsides, this game goes to overtime. The Chargers say, oh, shit, here we go again. You lose that football game in overtime. That's just going to come back to haunt you. You're going to lose some pivotal games down the stretch, whether it's regular season or in the postseason, because of your field goal kicking situation. That's why I can't get on board with this Chargers team, because they find ways to F it up, especially with the field goal kicking situation. But I said all of that to say this. Man, is Philly Rivers good. I love me some Philly Rivers. Is there a team more underappreciated than this Chargers football team? Nobody gives Phillip Rivers the credit he deserves. I want to see Phillip win just for the sake of people being able to understand just how good. You know, when they talk about the class of 2004, they talk about Roethlisberger, they talk about Eli Manning, and then it's, oh, by the way, Phillip Rivers. No, Phillip Rivers may be the best of that group, but he doesn't have any hardware to show for it. That's why everyone leaves him out of that conversation or gets to him way down the line. He's better than Eli Manning, I can tell you that right now. He's way better than Eli Manning. Way better than Eli Manning. Eli Manning at his best. Nowhere close to Phillip Rivers at his best. Not even close. Now, Roethlisberger, that's a different discussion. Those two, I think they're as tough as it gets in this league. They'll hang in the pocket. They'll take hits. They'll deliver the football. Those two guys, to me, are as good as it gets from a toughness standpoint, staring down a gun barrel. You saw it late in this game. That throw to Keenan Allen on a 3rd and 4, it doesn't get much better than that. And there aren't many quarterbacks in this league making that throw under that kind of duress. Imminent pressure from a 330-pound defensive tackle bearing down on you, and you deliver the football. On the money for a first down to pretty much put this game on ice. Give you a chance to hit a walk-off field goal and win it. That's Phillip Rivers in a nutshell. You want to know who Phillip Rivers is? That play personifies Phillip Rivers to a T. How about the touchdown throw at the very beginning? All right, how about that touchdown throw to Travis Benjamin? Slides to the left, throws it going across his body, back across the other way, touchdown to Travis Benjamin. Not a lot of people can get that done in this league, but Phillip Rivers, one of those guys, pinpoint accurate, in stride touchdown. Gotta love Phillip Rivers, very underappreciated. How about Keenan Allen? How about KA13? Want to talk about underappreciated? When we rattle off the best receiver, I'm guilty of this. I'm not guilty of underappreciating Phillip Rivers. I'm not guilty of underappreciating Melvin Gooden III. I'm so upset he didn't play tonight because a lot of you don't know how good he really is. I'm not guilty of underappreciating MG3. That's not me. I go on Twitter every now and again just to remind everybody, after I watch the game on Monday, I always go back and I just send out a random tweet. Just in case you didn't know or needed reminding, Melvin Gordon III is really good. He's one of the best all-purpose backs in this league. I'm so upset he didn't play tonight because I think the world needed to see this guy. We don't see enough of the Chargers. They play on the left coast. No one's paying attention. They haven't had the toughest schedule this season, but when they've played tough teams in tough environments, this is why this team is different this year. They went to Seattle and won. People poo-pooed that earlier because Seattle didn't look like they were going to be all that. Look at what Seattle's doing. Seattle's a good football team. It's still tough to go into CenturyLink and win. They did that. Pittsburgh, look, you say what you want about the Steelers, and they've had some bad showings of late, but home Steelers, road Steelers, two different Steelers. They went into Pittsburgh and won. That's gotta mean something. So, anyway, back to my original point. I am one of those people that don't give Keenan Allen the respect that he deserves. Because it's easy to be out of sight, out of mind. You know, I was a big Keenan Allen fan early on, and then the injuries kind of took place, and then he kind of became the forgotten man. You know, other guys started to emerge like Nuke, like Tyreek Hill, and all these other guys, Devontae Adams and Adam Thielen, and all the new shiny toys showed up, and Keenan Allen got forgotten about. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm guilty of that. Because when you look at Keenan Allen and you put his numbers up against these other guys out here that we consider the best receivers in the league, he's right there. And I'll tell you this much. For every big game that a Nuke or a Devontae Adams has or a Tyreek Hill has or one of these big-time receivers Adam Thielen has or Antonio Brown, who he was matched up against in this game, has, for every one of those games, I'll show you one of these crazy 14 or 16 or 19 catch games that Keenan Allen has. Yeah, Keenan Allen may not have 8 catches for a ball 75 like an Antonio Brown can or Adam Thielen can or Tyreek Hill can. You don't get too many massive 75-yard touchdowns from Keenan Allen. But what he does do is the dirty work in between the numbers. He goes over the middle on 3rd and 8, catches the 11-yard pass. On 3rd and 4, he wins on an out route and converts. Those are the types of plays. So, yeah, he's going to have 14 catches for 140 yards. All right? It's not going to be this big 16.5 yard per catch average. But at the end of the day, the man is putting up numbers. He's putting in work. And Keenan Allen, man, some of the best hands in the league. There was a diving stab earlier in the game, full extension, away from his body. Got to pull it in. A lot of guys drop that football. Not Keenan Allen, man. His hands are A1. So I'm guilty of disrespecting Keenan Allen. This is a team that doesn't get enough respect. I've said it a number of times. I've been guilty of that this season. The Seattle game turned it around for me. I gave them no chance to win this game. No chance whatsoever to win this football game. And at 27 or 23-7, I was dismissing them even more so. I was saying to myself, this is why I can't take your ass seriously. Can't take your ass nowhere. You want to go to the postseason? You want me to take you on the road to Kansas City, or you want me to take you on the road to New York? This is why I can't take your ass nowhere. You don't know how to act. And they said, man, chill, bruh. It's only the 2nd quarter. You ain't even give us a chance. You want us to show you how we act when we go out on the road? We got manners, man. We'll show you. And they showed up. And they showed out. In the second half of this football game, they scored scored 16 unanswered points. Really 23 to take a 30-23 lead. 23 unanswered points. And I've talked about Desmond King. That's another guy that I haven't slept on and I'm trying to wake everybody else up about. Desmond King is legit, folks. I've been talking about him on the podcast. I've been talking about him on lockdown coverage. I've been screaming at the mountaintops. Desmond King is the best return man in football this season. Yes, I know there's a Tariq Cohen. Yes, I know there's a Tyreek Hill. Desmond King has been better than both of those guys. And he's a hell of a defensive back as well. He had the pick 6 versus Russell Wilson in Seattle to win that football game. He's playing out of his gourd. He's a hell of a safety, hell of a defensive back, and a hell of a punt returner. And so Desmond King gives them another dimension on special teams and gives them something that they used to get from Travis Benjamin once upon a time. So this is a complete Chargers team, sans for the field goal kicking department, which I still feel like is incomplete. You need to make a move. I don't know if Giorgio Tavecchio's out there. If I was some destitute team in the kicking game, he would have been the first person that once the Falcons kicker came back, Matt Bryant, I would have picked up the phone and called the league office, put in my waiver claim for Giorgio Tavecchio. There was no way he was getting back on the streets without me putting in a waiver claim if I was a team looking to try to make the postseason. I think the Chargers have made a mistake there. I think the Bears are going to regret not going out and replacing Cody Parkey, although Parkey was pretty good in some bad conditions today in New York. But I still don't trust Cody Parkey either. Nonetheless, big win for the Chargers, 33-30 over this Pittsburgh Steelers team that all of a sudden has lost 2 games in a row and is struggling at the wrong time of the season. I really was disappointed in the Chargers when they lost to the Denver Broncos. I said they should have been 9-2 after 11 games and 12 weeks of football because, and I said this back in week number 9, when you looked at their schedule, you said if they can find a way to get to 6-2, and you look at the next 3 games and it was something like, you know, the Broncos, the Cardinals, and it was one more trash team in there. And so the big one was at Seattle. If you could find a way to beat Seattle, which I didn't think, I disrespected them then. I said they weren't going to do it. You could beat Seattle, get to 6-2. You're going to be 9-2. I said, go ahead, pencil them in for 9-2. They got the Raiders. If I'm not mistaken, it was Raiders, Broncos, Cardinals. I said they're going to win those 3 games. Those 3 trash teams. They're going to win those 3 games. And they lose to Denver at home, and that was the one where I'm like, see, just when I started to believe, this is the shit you do to me. But then they come back. They did what they were supposed to do against Arizona, but this was the one that I said, all right, Los Angeles, you want me to believe? You want me to stop waffling on you? Show me. They showed me. I believe in this Chargers team. They're dangerous. I don't believe in their kicking game, and I still don't believe in their head coach. I still think he is somewhat lost on the sidelines at times, but this is a Chargers team. Talent-wise, they stack up. All right, and now let me say one more thing. I got to pat myself on the back, and I gotta brag a little bit, toot my own horn. You know, I told you, when I'm wrong, I'll be the first to tell you when I'm wrong. But when I'm right, God damn it, when I'm right, you know I'm going to tell your ass I was right. What'd I tell y'all about Justin Jackson? Chargers fans, you know what I'm talking about. What'd I tell your ass about Justin Jackson? Yeah, I've been shitting on Austin Eckler. I'm still shitting on Austin Eckler, all right? And every time Chargers fans, my man Craig would come up here and be like, hey, man, you better stop shitting on Austin Eckler, man. Austin's legit. And look, I've come around to Austin. Austin's not garbage. He's not Justin Jackson, though. I told your ass, get you a real backup running back. When you drafted Justin Jackson in the 7th round out of Northwestern, I said, look, man, we're going to put all this Austin Eckler shit to rest. You get yourself a real legit backup running back. Quality stuff, man. Some high-quality stuff in the 7th round. Like me some Justin Jackson, and now after this game, you should too. Get you some Justin Jackson, man. I told your ass about Justin Jackson. Go back and watch the breakdown of the draft wrap-up series when I talked about Justin Jackson and how you got yourself a legit backup running back. Look, no disrespect to Austin Eckler, but I'm disrespecting Austin Eckler. Why? Because he's Austin Eckler. Anyway, if you're the Steelers, you got to figure some shit out, man. Your defense hasn't played well of late. That's number one, all right? Jacksonville, in the late stages of that game, Jacksonville, they're Jacksonville, okay? They don't score points, so I'm throwing that game out. But Denver moved the football on you, made some plays. And the Chargers, look, the Chargers are an elite offense. So I'm not going to say that you were supposed to hold them down, but your defense isn't very good. And I'll take it a step further. Offensively, this Steelers team can go to sleep at times. You know, some games it's the turnovers. Other games it's just, I don't know what the hell happened in the second half. To be honest with you, I can't put my finger on why you couldn't move the football. And then all of a sudden, when you're trailing by 7, you just move the football right down the field. I don't understand sometimes with this Steelers team. Much like I said with the Packers, I'm not going to make the same declaration I made with the Packers over a month ago after they beat Miami, and I told everybody that this Packers team, and they were 4-4-1 at the time, and they were right in the thick of things, and I said after a 31-12 victory, Packers aren't making the playoffs this year. They're not the same Packers team we're used to seeing with Aaron Rodgers. I said something's off. Something's wrong with these Packers, and today the final nail in the coffin, losing to the Cardinals. Something was wrong. Something's off with this Steelers football team. Now, they're not going to miss the postseason. Put some respect on the Steelers' name. And I already know. I know it's coming in the comment section. I haven't even looked at the comment section yet, but I already know. My man, huge Steelers fan, Captain Spartan's going to say, hey, we tanking, all right? This is part of the plan. We tanking. We ain't going nowhere. He does it every week. Whether they win or lose, they're tanking. So I know it's coming. They're not tanking. They're not missing the postseason. Yeah, I know they got to play the Patriots at home and they never win that game. Yeah, I know they got to go to New Orleans. Probably going to lose that football game too. They're going to make the postseason. They're going to find a way to get in when it's all said and done. That tie may be their saving grace when it's all said and done. This Steelers team probably going to make it to the postseason. I'm confident of that. They got the Raiders next week. They're going to bounce back. They're going to snap their losing streak. They're going to win that football game. They've got another game in the division. I'm assuming that's going to be Cincinnati, final game of the season. Cincinnati has already waved the white flag. They got Jeff Driscoll at quarterback. They stink. That's over. So they're going to win at least 2 more games to get them to 9. All right? 9-6-1 is the worst the Steelers are going to finish this season. I look at their schedule. If they could just find a way to beat one of those 2 teams. They don't have to win both of those. New England is not the New England that we're accustomed to seeing. Like, there's a lot of teams off. New England's off. They're not dominant in any way, shape, or form. Defensively, offensively, special teams. Gostowski missed a field goal today. They're not elite in any way, shape, or form of the Patriots this year. Shit is wide open. Both conferences. Shit is wide open. You look at the NFC, a little less wide open because I think it's Rams, Saints, and then everybody else. In the AFC, I'm looking around like, hey, Kansas City could get it because they don't play any defense. Raiders scored 33, just in case you weren't paying attention, on the Chiefs today. And then the Kareem Hunt situation, that changes things. Big time. If you think that Kareem Hunt no longer being on that roster is not a big deal, you on some shit, and you haven't been watching football very long. They're going to miss Kareem Hunt. He was a huge part of their offense. So that Chiefs thing, that's not the same stuff we saw earlier in the season, now without Kareem Hunt. And they don't play any defense, keep in mind. So they're not a lock. Hell, they're not even a lock to win the division, but they're going to win the division because the Chargers can't beat the Chiefs. All right? But in any event, that's not a guarantee up there. I just told you that the Patriots aren't the same team. And this Steelers team right here, who the hell are they really? I don't know. Bottom line is, when it's all said and done, why can't the Texans, why can't the Chargers be teams that sneak in and get a first-round bye? I'm not saying. I'm just saying, now, if the Chargers case, if you want a first-round bye, guess what you got to do? Let me give you one guess what you got to do. Yeah, you got to beat the goddamn Kansas City Chiefs, which you can't seem to do for the life of you. So, and you got to go to Arrowhead to do it because you squandered the opportunity to do it in week 1. So now you got to go to Arrowhead to do it. Good luck with that. You're going to need it. Bottom line is, when you look at the AFC, this shit is wide open. It's wide-ass open. And the Texans are looking around like, hey, why we can't get a first-round bye? And if you're the Chargers now, you go to Pittsburgh and you win, you should be looking around just like the Texans like, shit, why we can't get a first-round bye? Why we can't get a home playoff game or 2? I'm not saying. I'm just saying. But you want to get that done, you know what you got to do. This was nice. This was cute. This was awesome, actually. This was a big win. But you know what you got to do. You want me to believe that you're a Super Bowl contender, and you got to handle the Chiefs. You can't handle the Chiefs, I don't think you've got what it takes to be a Super Bowl contender. It's as simple as that. But I'm glad to see Phillip Rivers, my man Philly Rivers, doing his thing in this game to show everybody what he's been doing all season long. I'm glad to see Justin Jackson showing everybody what I saw at Northwestern and what I thought the Chargers were going to get without Melvin Gordon III in this game. And it's good to see Keenan Allen doing what Keenan Allen does, doing Keenan Allen things in this football game. And Michael Badgley, look, he got it done. Took him 15 tries, but he got the shit through the uprights. But I'm telling you, I'm warning you, you might F this up messing around with Michael Badgley. Good luck with that shit. You're definitely going to need it. The Steelers, they're in trouble. They are in trouble. If they don't get their act together, they got to beat the Oakland Raiders. And really, I don't even want that one to be close. I need that to be a confidence-building game. If they barely squeak by the Oakland Raiders next week, they're in some serious trouble because they need momentum going into that Patriots game the following week. They need to feel good. Those injuries that they sustained in this game, the injury to Connor, that one looks serious. And when I say serious, I'm not talking about season-ending. It looks like a high ankle sprain, like a grade 3 ankle sprain to the point where he might miss 4 weeks. You know what I mean? Like it looks like that kind of serious. We know Switzer has had issues with concussions in the past. So Ryan Switzer is a guy that could easily be out for the next 2 to 3 weeks in concussion protocol. So we'll see how that goes. But he's become a big part of their football team, not just on offense, but also in the returns game. So we'll see if those injuries are going to be lingering issues for them moving forward. But you had opportunities in this game. You know, the pick that you threw to the rookie safety for the Chargers, Derwin James, that's a no-no. Can't have it. And Ben's been doing that of late. He's been turning it over, and stupid ones at that. And then, obviously, Ben missed. And it's crazy because Ben generally doesn't miss the deep ball when a guy's that wide open. But he had a receiver wide-ass open. All right, Justin Hunter streaking down the field, not a Charger in sight. If he underthrows that by 5 yards, it's still a touchdown. And he overshot him. And that was the game right there. You hit that, the game's done. So you had opportunities, you missed them, and the Chargers were able to rally from behind and win this football game. What a victory for the Los Angeles Chargers as they move to 9-3. They should be tied with the Chiefs. That's why that Broncos loss infuriates me. It really infuriates me because you should be tied atop the division at 10-2 right now. Don't lose to Denver. Denver's won 3 straight, though. I'm going to stop disrespecting the Broncos because I talked about on the podcast. Look at Denver's schedule, man. Denver can win 10. Easy, man. Easy. They can win 10 games. They can win the rest of their football games. It's not out of the realm of possibility. That final game of the season, I believe that final game of the season is versus these same damn Chargers. That could be for a playoff spot. That could be for a playoff spot for the Denver Broncos. We will see. Anyway, let's get to the comment section. And make sure, if you're new to the channel, welcome to the Louie T Network. Make sure that you subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content here on this channel, on this platform. And I've got so many different things going on, podcasts, website, and of course, what you're seeing now, the Louie T Network on YouTube. So be sure to check me out. If this is your first time here, welcome. And also, make sure you use the hashtag LouieTLive if you want your comment read on the air. And so let's get to the comment section. JP says, want to congratulate your Notre Dame Fighting Irish on making the college football playoffs for the first time. Good luck versus Clemson. Appreciate that. I knew we were going to make it once we ran the table. So I knew that was going to happen, but I appreciate that. Hopefully we can beat Clemson. I like our chances. I'm not going to lie to you, but Clemson is a better football team than us, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, I got Munson says, well, that's certainly a first we just witnessed at the end, LOL. These two teams match up incredibly well. Keenan Allen reminds me of a light-skinned nuke. D. Hopkins. Yes. To me, they are very similar because they're not fast. They both have incredible hands, set of hands. Like, their hands are among the best in the league, right up there with Larry Fitzgerald and some of the other guys that have tremendous mitts in this league. Not going to scare you with vertical speed, but they will get on top of you, and if you throw it up for grabs, they will make plays. And I think Nuke's just a little bit more physical than Keenan Allen is. Okay, way more physical than Keenan Allen is. But Allen is definitely a beast in the same way, and we need to start considering him in that group. When we start I told you, I think Nuke's the best receiver in the league. Hands down for me, Nuke's my number one. Antonio Brown, and then, you know, you got Thielen, and you got Julio Jones, all those other guys. If we sat down and we made a list, everybody's list would be different. You know, you'd have Julio Jones at 1. Somebody else will have Devontae Adams at 1. Somebody else will have Keenan Allen at 1 if you're a Chargers fan, maybe. Somebody, and you wouldn't be wrong necessarily because these guys are so good. We have to start looking at Keenan Allen in that same light. Colts fan says, absolutely disgusted with my Colts, but I feel like we still have a chance to run the table. I just want you, I needed you to take that slice. You needed a slice of humble pie. Y'all were up here parading around the comment section talking about Andrew Luck for MVP. I hope we just poured a bucket of ice cold water on that shit. Stop it. I told y'all to stop it last week. If you would have just listened to me, you wouldn't have got shut out today. If you would have just took your winning streak and Andrew Luck playing well in stride and not tried to make this whole campaign for MVP, I wouldn't have had to sick the dogs on you. But you wanted to act crazy. You wanted to come out with your picket signs, Luck for MVP. Luck for MVP, and I had to put the football gods on your ass. They had to cool your ass off, and now you can just go back to playing football. Your regularly scheduled programming, you can now continue with that. But I had to cool your ass off. You needed a slice of humble pie. You were acting up. Colts fan also says, at some point going for it on 4th down is too risky. The analytics don't say that. It's a new day and age in sports. The nerds have won. They've taken over football now. That was the last sport to give in. Baseball had long since went to analytics when Billy Beane introduced Moneyball. Basketball has long since went to the metrics and the analytics, and they're now taking a bunch of threes. Hey, a three is better than a bad 3 is better than a good 2. Is either a 3 or a layup now in the NBA. And now the one sport holding out on analytics has injected themselves into the bloodstream of the National Football League. We can't help it now. Teams are going for 2. Teams are going for it on 4th down. And after they do it, you know what they're showing us? Well, if this coach would have went for it on 4th down, he would have had a 27% chance of winning the football game. Had he punt, and he decided to punt. And with the punt, the chances of winning were 25% of winning the game. And had he converted, it would have been 31%. So the percentage of him punting versus going for it wasn't that big of a deal. They should have went for it on 4th down. Man, shut the hell up. You ain't watching the goddamn game analytics. You're just putting in a whole bunch of equations. All right? As a coach, there's a feel for a game. I know what my team's doing in this game. The hell what the numbers say. If I know we ain't moving the football well enough and my defense is playing their ass off, I'm punting the goddamn football. Who gives a shit what your analytics say? All right? Now, if I know my team can get a stop, if I go for it and I don't make it, they can get a stop. Or I know that my defense ain't shit. All right? My defense ain't worth a shit. And if I put them back on the field because I decide to punt, this other team's going to take the football, ram it right down my throat, score a touchdown, or run the clock out, and we lose, I got to go for it. There's a feel that you have to have that analytics just doesn't have. But it's too late. It's here now. Colts fan says one more thing. What the heck is Wright doing passing it 52 times? Maybe you couldn't run it. I don't know. I got to watch the game. I know Marlon Mack didn't have a lot of touches on the ground. So RG3 hashtag says, I just love to see the Steelers lose. He's a Browns fan, if I'm not mistaken. So it's always good when you see a divisional rival lose. I got Munson says, also, he said, let's also give a bow to the backup running back Jackson tonight for the Chargers. Excellent juice and patience. Something about Rivers and how he balls is fascinating. I love Philly Rivers, man. I've been trying to tell people Philly has the biggest guts. He's got the guts of a burglar. Now, I will tell you, those guts sometimes gets his ass caught and thrown in jail. But when he is able to get away with some of the shit he does, boy, oh boy. And also, I didn't mention this, that false start penalty by Sam Tevy, they be getting away with some shit. I remember earlier in the season, the same shit happened, same Chargers team, they missed the play against the Browns, and Tyrell Williams catches a 43-yard touchdown pass. 47. He had two 47 or 43-yard touchdown grabs in that game. That was the first of which in triple coverage. But they missed the call, and that official ended up getting fired the next day. I don't know if someone's getting fired after this, but you can't miss that. And then Philip Rivers has this knack for making the situation worse. You missed the false start, I'm going to score a touchdown too. Thanks. Appreciate it. Ethan Shaw says, the only words I can use to describe this game is wow. Wow is right. FBG Tony says, seeing this game showed me more of why passing on Derwin James pisses me off. I'm not touching that one with a 14-foot pole, but FBG Tony, the whole time I was watching this game, I just said to myself, Redskins fans, I hope you're taking note of this. I hope you're watching this game. Not that I have any problem with Payne, but I'm just telling you, we went and got Ha-Ha Clinton-Dix. He ain't playing all that well. All I'm saying is, I'm not saying, I'm just saying. But I rest my case. You said it, not me. Vincent Coe says, this Texans winning streak has been super impressive, LOL. Do you think they are Pats or KC level now or no? The thing that gives them a chance is they play defense. You play defense in this league, you have a chance. I don't love their offense. It can go to sleep at times, but I can tell you this, when Deshaun Watson doesn't turn the football over and the defense plays the kind of football that we know they're capable of playing, they're a tough out, period. End of discussion. When Watson turns it over, then that's when this Texans team can be beaten. If you don't turn it over, you can play with anyone in the AFC. No one, and I just said, Kansas City, they haven't separated themselves from the pack, nor has the Patriots. You're right there. You're a game back of first place in the AFC conference. That tells you all you need to know. You're right there. So, and remember, you went to Foxborough, first game of the season, and you lost by a touchdown. And Deshaun Watson was not great in that football game. And you only lost by 7. Just know you can play with those teams. You can play with them. And you're a better football team, light years better than you were in week 1. Light years better. You're a much different team than you were back then. So, yeah, I think you can play with those guys. Stevie D says, I think we have to start talking about the Chargers as a potential Super Bowl competitor. But, oh, yeah, they got to pull that Charger shit. Look, I already said, I'm not using Super Bowl and Chargers in the same sentence until they beat the Chiefs. You can't beat the Chiefs because you're either going to have to beat the Chiefs or the Patriots. I don't think they can beat either one of those teams until they prove to me that they can beat one or the other. And they've had some battles with the Patriots in Foxborough, which is where that game will be played if they end up playing the Patriots or the Chiefs in the playoffs. It'll be on one of those teams' home turf. They've lost to the Chiefs now, 9 times in a row? And if I had to get a running tally of how many times they lost to the Patriots in a row, Phillip Rivers probably has lost to Tom Brady, I'd say 4 times in a row. That number may be a little less, maybe a little bit more, but let's just put it at 4. That's a nice round number for me right now. They can't beat either one of those teams. So if you can't beat one of those teams, hell, I don't even know if you can beat the Texans. With the way they play defense, I don't even know if you can win that game. I can't use Super Bowl and Chargers in the same sentence. Not yet. Let's see. Atlas says, so glad to see new teams rising up. Think we'll see a new king at the end of the year. Also, this game was rigged. Okay. Our weekly, this game was rigged from Atlas. Wouldn't be a Sunday, wouldn't be a Monday, wouldn't be a Thursday without Atlas telling us the game was rigged. However, yeah, it is good to see new blood. It's good to see freshness. Freshness, everybody, being introduced into the bloodstream. All right? Who's not excited to see the Texans coming about? Who's not excited to see the Chargers all of a sudden rising up? The Chiefs. Even though the Chiefs aren't that new, this feels different without Alex Smith. This feels different with Patrick Mahomes. It's good. It's fun to see the Rams up all of a sudden, being vibrant and having 11-1 mark. This is fun. Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. It's time for these, except for Phillip Rivers, it's time for, because he really hasn't had a shot, it's time for these old farts to get out the way. You know, Breeze is the only old fart that you're like, all right, go ahead, Drew, you get a pass. But Tom, Ben, get the hell out the way. Let the youngins play, man. That was the baseball mantra for the playoffs. Let the young boys play. Let the youngins play. Let the youngins play, man. Let's get some of this fresh blood in here. Jared Goff and Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. Let's let the youngins play, man. It's fun to see it. Also, Angry Birds of Chaos says Justin Reed should win Defensive Rookie of the Year, or at least be in the conversation. And do you think my Texans can get higher in the seeding and possibly a first-round bye? I already talked about that. And to your first point, Justin Reed has been outstanding. I don't know if he should win Defensive Rookie of the Year. I've got to look at the crop. Offhand, I can't think of any other rookies that have been stellar this season, but I'm pretty sure I'm forgetting somebody. I told you, Bradley Chubb, almost, if he's not already there, he's pretty much at double-digit sacks this season. So, but Justin Reed has been outstanding. He won them the Redskins game with his pick 6. He seems to be around the ball every single week. If there's an interception or a fumble recovery, it seems like it's Justin Reed every time. I really love what this guy brings to the table. I told everyone during the draft process that Reed was a steal for this Texans team in the second round when they got him. And that's a big pickup for them. And he definitely needs to be in the conversation. I can assure you of that for sure. Craig Smith says, took Wiz 2.5 quarters to figure out that you can beat the Steelers up the middle. Got to beat them on the edges. My boy Justin Action Jackson was out there getting on his Le'Veon on. Has he go? Much faster than slow. Love it. And I tried to tell y'all about Justin Jackson, man. Action Jackson. You can call anyone you want. All right? Anyone. Jordan Jackson, action, pack guns, ridiculous. And that's what Justin Jackson was tonight, man. He was ridiculous in that second half. Every time he touched it, it seemed electric. Y'all better start putting some respect on my man name. Hyped Dude says, such a horrible way to lose a game. Kicker already gone far left. Shaking my head. I know it. I hate when guys jump off sides. In this league, it's rare that you block a kick. You know, unless somebody gets free up the middle, the guy coming off the edge, rarely going to block the kick cleanly. What I don't want you to do, and you got to know who you're playing, okay? If you're playing the Baltimore Ravens and it's Justin Tucker, just incredible, all right, man, if you want to try to get an early start to try to block it because you know he's going to make the shit, knock yourself. You're playing the Chargers, man. You know who you playing? He going to miss the damn field goal. He's the Chargers, okay? He plays for the Chargers. You got to know who you're playing. He was going to miss the kick. You didn't need to jump off sides. He was going to miss the kick. Got to know who you're playing. Chuck Sarts says, you think the Chargers can win the AFC West? I don't, because I don't think they can beat Kansas City. If they could beat Kansas City, if Kansas City hadn't won 9 straight, then I'd be like, hell yeah, they could win the AFC West. They can't beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs aren't going to beat themselves, even though they are a very penalized team. They're not going to beat themselves. You got to beat the Chiefs, and you haven't been able to do that. So I don't think so. Chuck Sarts says, who's going to take the 6th seed in the AFC? I talked about that on the podcast. So if you want to know how I feel about the AFC and where I think things are going, check out the podcast, Louie T Network Podcast. Available on Stitcher, iTunes, and Louie T Network. Of course, Google Music Play as well. The 20th Mike says, you think the Steelers can win the division based on what we saw tonight? Sure they can. Because I already watched the Ravens game versus the Falcons today, and as impressive as the defense was, their offense still leaves a lot on the table. Lamar Jackson missed a ton of throws today. He made some throws. He used his legs. He did what he needed to do. The run game was outstanding, and what he brings to the run game, not from just him running, but the threat of him running, is opening up shit for guys like Gus Edwards and Dixon. And you look around now, all of a sudden now they're hurting teams on the ground, and it's not just Lamar Jackson, because you have to account for him as a threat in the run game. And now it's sort of like that RG3 effect with Alfred Morris in 2012 and in 2013. You had to account for Robert Griffin III and him using his legs, and that opened up shit for Alfred Morris to run for over 1,500, 1,300 yards, whatever it was. But they left Lamar Jackson left a lot on the table, man. There was so much left out there for them offensively that if they were playing a much better team than Atlanta, you might lose the game because of it. And just look at who they've beaten on this 3-game win streak. They beat the Raiders, they beat the Bengals, and they beat the Falcons. Again, you're talking about all teams sub 500, none of them any good. I want to see the Ravens play someone good, before, and that's coming, all right? They're going to play, I believe, this same Chargers team coming up shortly. If I'm not mistaken, they also have the Chiefs on the road, if I'm not mistaken as well. So we're going to find out a lot about the Ravens and just how good they are with Lamar Jackson. And so I think even though the Steelers' schedule is tough, they still got the Raiders and they still got the Bengals to finish up. Sandwiched in between that, yes, Patriots and Saints on the road. I get that. Patriots at home, Saints on the road. But if they could just win one of those 2 games, I think that puts a bow on this division. I think 10-5-1 will get it done for the Steelers. They still may, with the way the Ravens though are playing. We'll see if they can get to 9, because if the Ravens get to 9, the Steelers can still win the division at 9-6-1 because of that tie. So again, like I said, I think the Steelers are going to win this division, even if it's at a sloppy 9-6-1. I still think they're going to win the division. But more realistically, I think the Steelers are going to find a way to get to 10-5-1, and I think that'll be enough to win the division. JP says, if the Chargers win the Super Bowl, you will fill in the blank. I will eat crow. But it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But I would be so excited, though, for Phillip Rivers. I really would. I'm rooting for the Chargers because I like Phillip Rivers, and he doesn't get the respect that he deserves. The fact that we even have to have a conversation about, is this man a Hall of Fame type of quarterback, is disgusting. It's a ridiculous conversation. Vincent Coe says, bunch of teams losing their starting running backs right now. Which one stinks the most for their playoff team's run? It's hard to really say. It'll be interesting. I think the Chiefs are going to be hurt the most by losing Kareem Hunt. That one really stings. He was a beast in the receiving game. He was a beast in the run game. They did some things to get him out in space, and he was dynamic out in space. That's going to hurt them a lot. I know they like Spencer Ware, and they feel like they've got the Black Mamba, and they got a bunch of stuff out there, and they feel like they'll be fine. They'll use Tyreek Hill probably in some more creative ways in the backfield and get him touches out in space now, and they'll try to offset it, but it's just not the same. So that one stings the most. But the Steelers without James Conner, that would be catastrophic. I like the kid, and I told them when they drafted him out of NC State that he's a good football player. And you saw a little bit of it tonight. He can catch it out of the backfield like he was a Swiss Army knife at NC State. So he's going to be quality for them, but it's not the same. James Conner was playing at a very high level this year. They can ill afford to lose him for any true amount of time. So we'll see how that goes. Likely Phenomenon says, what's poppin', Lou? The Packers fired Mike McCarthy. I think we're all aware of that. Reese says, I'm still not sold, Lou. The Bucs aren't going to get my hopes up. Like I said, I'm not going to preach to you like I did last week. The fact that you're saying that to me, you're trying to sell yourself. And I'm not going to sit here and allow you to continue to try to bait us in as well. We're not going to do that. you're trying to convince yourself, but you do believe. You are getting your hopes up. J. Cam Man says, I have to give props to Hawk for winners and losers, getting the Cowboys and Giants game right. Helps him hold on to first place. That was a hell of a pick. He was the only person to pick the Cowboys on my football pool. He may have already won the football pool, too. Like, Sean Hawk is starting to piss me off because he's winning too damn much. Like, I don't, like, the winners and losers, I've taken so many chances. I haven't paid enough attention to that. I've fallen so behind on that. My focus was really on the paid, the pick'em, the weekly pick'em winner pool, the money one. That's the one I care about because I want to win some money. And every time Sean Hawk plays, it seems like he wins. Like, this shit is getting old. And that was a hell of a pick. Not just the Cowboys game, but the Giants game as well. Like, shit. John Perez says, I told you the Packers were not going to wait until after the season to fire Mike McCrappy. They fired him today, and now I can say I told you so. No, you were right about that. I didn't, but also, let me say this to you. You were right. Let me first give you credit, because I was wrong. I didn't think it was going to happen. You said it was going to happen, and I dismissed it. But I also didn't think they would lose to the Arizona Cardinals. Like, there's a low, and then there's the bottom. They were at a low point. You know, after losing last week to the Vikings, like, they hit a low point, but you're like, okay. Rodgers said after the game, look, he looked at the schedule, and I said, hey, I hear you, Aaron. I don't think you're running the table, but you're gonna make it interesting. You're gonna make it interesting. I didn't think the next week after Aaron got up at the podium and started talking about the teams that they had to beat to try to run the table and get into the playoffs in the back door, that they would go home the following week and lose to one of the worst teams in the league in the Arizona Cardinals. Like, there's low and then there's the bottom. They hit the bottom, like rock bottom this week. You hit rock bottom at home. Like, it's one thing the Packers haven't won in 99 road games straight. They've lost 99 straight road games. Okay, that's one thing. But to go home and lose to the Arizona Cardinals, some shit's got to change right now. Not now, like right now. So, yeah, you were right. I was wrong. I didn't see him getting fired, but I also didn't see them losing at home to the Arizona Cardinals. So, there's that. J. Cam Man says, did you get a chance to see Allen's 4th and 11 touchdown pass that was dropped by Clay in the end zone Bills game? No, haven't watched the Bills game yet. What I'm more curious to see is how in the hell Josh Allen ended up with 9 rushes for 135 yards. That's what the hell I want to see. Shit! I was floored when he had 8 for like 90-something, and then I look up and he's got 9 for a bucket. I'm like, what the hell is going on out there? So I'm anxious to see what happened in that football game. Jay Moose says, Keenan Allen had a great year last year. I think he's a top 10 receiver when he isn't hurt. Yeah, he was outstanding last year because he was healthy for the first time in about 2 or 3 years last year. And like I said, quietly, he's putting up numbers. He was outstanding last year. He's even better this year. And I think he's starting to come back onto the scene, the wide receiver scene, because I was hesitant to jump back into the Keenan Allen game just because I was like, man, he probably going to get hurt again. As soon as I start to believe again, you know, he's going to blow out an ACL. Let me knock on some wood. Because I wish nothing but the best for Keenan Allen. But I was like, he's probably going to blow a tire out. Every time I start to get excited about Keenan Allen, something happens. He looks like he's back. He's here to stay. And the Chargers are a different football team when he's healthy. J. Cam Man says, I agree with Tony Dungy that Mike McCarthy shouldn't have been fired now. Season's already over for the Packers. They could have waited until the season was over. I thought so too. But again, it's the bottom. They've hit literally rock bottom. And I guess the organization felt like we want to get a head start on our next coach. And the way to do that is to go ahead, move on from McCarthy. It's good for both parties because that allows Mike McCarthy to start to kind of get a feel for what jobs will become available. He's going to get another job. I'm not a Mike McCarthy fan, though. Like, a lot of people love Mike McCarthy, think he's this great NFL head coach. I think he's a mediocre, middle-of-the-pack head coach in this league. He's not elite. It's not like Sean Payton just got fired. It's not like John Harbaugh just got fired, who I really love. I think John Harbaugh is a hell of a football coach. He's not one of these guys. He's a middle-of-the-pack coach. It's the equivalent of – the only thing Mike McCarthy has on his resume that a guy like Jay Gruden doesn't is a Super Bowl ring. And why does he have a Super Bowl? Because he's got Aaron Rodgers and Jay Gruden doesn't. Like, Mike McCarthy is a middle-of-the-pack coach in this league. So, I agree, though. I didn't think he needed to be fired. But, again, you lose to the Cardinals at home, and some shit's got to change, I guess. Reese says, will Mike McCarthy be a head coach again right away, or will he have to be an offensive coach somewhere? Nope, he's going to be a head coach right away again if he wants to be. He could even go the Lovie Smith route and sit out a year and then wait. It seems like even if you're a mediocre head coach, if you sit out a year and you've been somewhere for a long time like Lovie was in Chicago, you sit out a year and you just wait, it makes this whole illusion and it seems like you grow to mythical proportions as a head coach. Like, oh my God, man, we could get Lovie Smith. That'd be awesome. I'm like, you do know he's Lovie Smith, right? Like, you do know that the thing he's best known for is his nose running when it's cold outside, right? Like, it's Lovie Smith. Like, I'm looking around like, you do know Mike McCarthy is like just Mike McCarthy, right? That's what happens though. If he sits out a year, it'll be like he's Bill Cowher or something. Oh man, you get Mike McCarthy, like he'll grow to mythical proportions. But bottom line is, I think he wants to coach again right away, and I think he'll get the Andy Reid treatment. He'll go somewhere and he'll be a coach right away, just like that, like Andy Reid was. Colt McCoy, I'm not messing with you, Colt. You gotta prove to me you talk too much, Colt. You talk too much. I need action, Colt. I'm gonna read your comment though. Man, I'm so excited to play these next 5 games. I get to prove, he said, I get the chance to prove that I'm a starter in this league, and I get to show that I'm capable of winning big games down the stretch. Again, I ain't trying to hear that, Colt. I'm trying to see that, Colt. I don't want to hear it. Show me. I'm from Missouri. Show me. J. Cam Man says, last week, Josh Allen broke Tyrod's record for most rushing yards in a game. This week, he broke last week's record. I just got to see it. I got to see it. See, I didn't watch the game last week because I was on a bye week. I took the entire week off. I'm going to watch the game this week. And you best damn be sure that I want to see what the hell is going on out there. Larry G's the best says, a lot has been going on this week. Reuben Foster, Kareem Hunt, Kaepernick situation being brought up again. Mike McCarthy fired. You got to make a video on this, bro. I'll do it on my podcast. I'm not going to make a video for it. I'll do it on my podcast. You want to hear about it? Gotta listen to the podcast. J. Cam Man says, I hate to agree with Steelers fans, but the Chargers won this in the most oddest way. A TD with a false start, a dropped interception, a punt return, 3 field goal attempts at the end to win it. Look, as a Chargers fan, I don't give a shit about any of that. You dropped the interception, not us. The officials missed the false start, not us. You were offsides 3 times, not us. And you overthrew a wide open receiver for a touchdown, not us. That's a you problem, not a us problem. We took care of business. You made the mistakes. We capitalized off the mistakes. The officials made a mistake. We capitalized off the mistake. All we did was we lived our best life, and you allowed us to do it. Thanks. We appreciate that. John Perez says, Phillip Rivers does it again, Lou. I honestly hope he concludes his career with the Super Bowl ring, whether it's next year or this year or the year after that or so on and so on. I just want him to win, man. I'm a Phillip Rivers fan. I don't think he gets the credit he deserves, and so this is a great chance for him to do something big. The AFC has not been this wide open in quite some time. If there were ever a time to strike, now is the time to strike. Time to strike when the iron's hot. Right now is the time to do it. We got 7 minutes left. Reese says, no more kicking woes for us, Lou. We're kicking it with Cairo. He's back. Good. I'm glad to hear that. Redskins fan says, nervous about tomorrow because I know I am. Nope, I'm not. I don't expect us to win, so I'm not nervous. I'm not going into the game with any kind of expectation. I'll be nervous the final 4 weeks of the season because I think we can win all 4 of those games. I'll be nervous then. I don't expect us to win this week, so I'm not nervous. J. Cam Man says, do you think the coaches can be allowed to challenge to get a penalty applied to the play, like when a false start? No. See, I don't want to slow the game. Like the officials, there's a line judge. You want to know why he's called a line judge? Because he's standing right at the line of scrimmage, so he's supposed to see false start. That's his job. So I don't want coaches challenging anything else than they already have the ability to challenge. I don't want the game slowed down anymore. They've done a really good job this year of speeding up the process, going on commercial break, coming back, and they've already reviewed a play. I like that. Let's speed this shit up. College football games are already 4-hour marathons. NFL games, depending on how the pace of the game goes, can be a 3.5 hour marathon. I want it to stay right around where it is. 3 hours, 10 minutes, 3 hours and 15 at the most. I don't want it to be any longer. You start allowing coaches to challenge shit like false start and holding and pass interference, and then we get into this whole Pandora's box, and you're opening up this whole thing of It just, no. That line judge needs to do his damn job. Your job is to stand at the line of scrimmage and make sure nobody moves, make sure that the proper guys are on and off the line of scrimmage so that it's not a legal formation. Your job is to make sure there's not an illegal shift going on. You've got several jobs, but it's so easy because you're standing there. Don't F it up. Simple as that. RG3 hashtag says, why you mean UCF, not UFC? Why UCF get no love in college football? Because they are UCF. Because they play in the AAC. That's why. All right? Yeah, they may beat LSU. I don't know if they're going to beat LSU or not. All right? They beat Auburn last year. What you got to understand about these big powerhouse SEC schools is when they don't make it to the playoffs, sometimes they don't play their best brand of football in these bowl games. They don't put their best foot forward all the time. I don't know if they're going to beat LSU or not, but they're not. I'll tell you this much. If they played in the SEC, if they played in the ACC, if they played Notre Dame's schedule this year, they wouldn't have went undefeated. It's that simple. They play in the AAC. They're playing against Memphis and Houston and Central Florida. They're playing against these teams, South Florida, and these teams that they can beat. Like, I don't want to disrespect them. They've won like 20-some-odd games straight. Like, that's hard to do. I don't care who you're playing. It's hard to win every game. Their quarterback gets injured, and they still win 2 games. And this guy that came in, he looks like he's going to be really good too. I'm not in the thought process of that if they were in a major Power 5 conference that they'd be undefeated. I'm just not. J. Camman says, Bills fans really didn't want to sign Anthony Lynn as a coach. He had a horrible press conference during his interim week. That turned a lot of us off. I'm not an Anthony Lynn guy. I'm really not. Anthony Lynn, to me, is a guy similar to the head coach in Denver that I didn't think deserved to get the job. I don't know about Lynn. I don't think he's as bad as the Denver head coach, but they won 3 in a row, and he may be saving his job as we speak right now, Vance Joseph in Denver. But Anthony Lynn strikes me as a guy that sometimes is clueless on the sidelines, and I get this vibe from Anthony Lynn that his players have to win the game because he's not going to be able to do it as a coach himself. Now, whatever he said, and I think we make way too much of halftime adjustments and what coaches say. I don't think coaches say anything at halftime, really. Like, I think these guys go in the locker room and they get with their specific groups, specific coaching groups, and, receivers go with the receivers coach or offensive coordinator, and the quarterbacks go with the quarterbacks coach, and you sit down and you talk about some adjustments that need to be made. Maybe you go with the offensive coordinator and the defense goes with the defensive coordinator, and you try to come up with some things that you saw in the first half and make some adjustments to that maybe. But I don't think that they all, this isn't high school. Like, you don't go in the locker room and you all sit there and your coach gives you a rah-rah speech and you go out, let's win one for the coach or the Gipper. Like, I don't see that happening, but I can tell you, whatever they did at halftime, it worked. I don't know what they did at halftime any different than any other week, but they came out and they played a different brand of football in the second half. Colts fan says, could the Steelers potentially not make the postseason? I kind of addressed that earlier. I think they're going to make it, but they could miss the postseason. Yes, it's not out of the realm of possibility. They're going to make it, though. That tie is going to be their saving grace. If they didn't have that tie, they'd be more likely to miss the postseason. Because then Denver beat them head-to-head, and if Denver finished at 9-7, and let's say that they're jockeying for one spot, and Pittsburgh ends up 9-7, and let's say the Ravens somehow get to 10-6, and they win the division, and Pittsburgh finishes at 9-7, and there's one spot available, and it's between them and Denver, Denver would have held the tiebreaker. But if Pittsburgh can just get to 9 wins, they're going to get in. They're going to get in at 9-6-1. So whether they win the division or they don't, they're going to get in. But I think they're going to win the division. Reese says Mike McCarthy was fired on Aaron Rodgers' birthday. We're aware of that as well. John Perez says, my LSU Tigers were ranked 11th and we qualified for the New Year's 6. We got UCF in the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl January 1st. Can't wait. Yeah. He's a big LSU fan. And I'm happy for LSU. I was upset that they lost to Texas A&M in that crazy game. Anyway, John Perez also says, going to be a lot of pissed off Steelers fans after this one, for sure. We got less than a minute left. Ali Side says, Lou, please tell me a podcast is coming soon and you think Hunt will be signed. Do you think he'll be signed? I don't think he'll be signed right now. I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to save my Kareem Hunt theory for my podcast. I'm not even going to give it to you right now. JP says, what are your All right. Says, what are your thoughts on the Bengals losing Andy Dalton, possible AJ Green? They're done. I don't really have any thoughts on them. They're done. They're not a good football team. They can't play any defense. That's their biggest problem. Now their offense stinks. They're done. Let's skip that one. JP says, let's skip that one. JP, Keenan Allen. I already talked about that. Let's see. AWU007 says, Chiefs don't have a defense or a hunt. I talked about that earlier. Spotlight Sports Talk says, what team can run the table in the AFC? The Denver Broncos look like they can run the table. If you're just talking from a regular season perspective, the Denver Broncos look like they can run the table. That's an interesting team to keep an eye on. Ethan Shaw says, do you see the Eagles making the playoffs? Tomorrow's game against the Redskins or today's game against the Redskins will go a long way in determining and how they look in that game. I'm still not buying the Eagles right now. I still don't think they're going to make the postseason. Their schedule is too tough. I talked about that on the podcast, so check that out. KT the Southern Gent says, McCarthy is fired. John Gruden still has a job. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. What the F? Hey, go ahead, man. That was a good comment. Deron Johnson says, since the Steelers lose, will the Ravens have a chance to go win the division? I talked about that earlier. They definitely have a chance to win the division. I think shit's about to get real for the Ravens, though. This has been a honeymoon period with Lamar Jackson playing, and this was the right stretch for him to come in. Bengals, Raiders, and the Falcons. Now, shit's about to heat up. I'm anxious to see how he does against some real teams. RG3 hashtag Julio got locked down badly today. He did. I won't say badly, but they were in his shit. The Ravens, they play that kind of defense, though. Bjorn Charlie says, if I'm the Raiders, Broncos, Jags, I'm trying to trade everything to get Rodgers if he doesn't want to be there. Their front office can't help them win. Also, Packers might want to call Lincoln Riley. I think that's a hot name going around right now, the Oklahoma head coach, Lincoln Riley. A lot of Lincoln Riley being thrown around. Cowboys, when they were struggling, was a rumored destination. The Browns with Baker Mayfield, you could connect the dots there. His connection to Baker Mayfield. And then, obviously, now with the Packers opening, everybody wants to pair up a great offensive mind like Lincoln Riley with a guy like Aaron Rodgers. We'll see what happens. J. Camman says, all the talk about the class of 2004 at the beginning of the game. If you want to do a real montage, show footage of Lossman on a couch somewhere. Colts fan says, I like Fat Moreau out of the draft. Curious on how he's been playing for you. He's been solid for us. He's made the transition to the slot this year. He's actually played really well. KT the Southern Gent said, love seeing Baker Mayfield getting served that humble pie. Hashtag God don't like ugly. Yeah, he was feeling himself. He was smelling himself. Much like the Colts fans with Andrew Luck, he had to be served a nice slice of humble pie today. I think he threw 3 interceptions, 3 or 4 of them things. Yeah, he was funky today. Vincent Coe says, Eddie Jackson, Bears safety, is hella good too. He's really good. He is arguably the best safety in the league right now. Let's see. Greedy Williams, JP says, Greedy Williams officially declared for the draft today. I don't know where he's going to end up. Colts fan says, I just can't get over how disgusted I am with my team. John Perez says, Drew Brees or Pat Mahomes for MVP. I'm still with Brees on that, even though Mahomes is making a strong case. Let's see. Colts fan says, do you feel like Aaron Rodgers' career is winding down? No, I think he's fine. JP says, should the Chargers start looking for Rivers' successor or replacement so that when it's time for him to retire, they already have a guy in place? I don't know if they necessarily need to start looking for that guy right now, but they should be thinking about the future sooner rather than later. I think that's why they traded for Cardale Jones, because they were hoping that he was a project that they could rectify. I think they're realizing that Cardale Jones probably not what we thought he was going to be, and so they may have to do that again. Anyway, we're out of time. Let me get the hell out of here. I appreciate you guys joining me. Big win for the Chargers. I can't begin to describe how big of a win this was on the road, on a big platform like Sunday Night Football versus a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a really big win for the Chargers, one that could catapult them into the headspace that they need to be to potentially beat a team like Kansas City this year. We'll see what happens. But after the Denver loss, these last 2 weeks have been a good bounce back after that disappointing loss to the Broncos. And that loss didn't look all that bad now, as the Broncos have reeled off 3 straight, including beating this same Steelers team last week as well. So the Chargers improved to 9-3 with the victory, 33-30. Meanwhile, the Pittsburgh Steelers dropped to 7-4-1, just a half game lead in the AFC North over the now surging Baltimore Ravens, who won their third consecutive game over the Falcons to get to 7-5. Shit is heating up. Shit is heating up. And your man Louie T is going to cover your ass like a blanket. Cover this entire league like a damn blanket. You know I'm going to hold you down. Speaking of which, if it's not your man T, it's not the best NFL coverage it could be. I'm signing off. I'll see you guys next time. Remember, make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the Louie T Network if you haven't already done so. And make sure you check out the Louie T Network podcast. See you guys next time. Have a good one.
Louie T Network.